Welcome to Turkish Spot. If you're the kind of person who loves love stories, leads with real chemistry, and romances that make you want to watch one episode after another, get ready. Because 2026 is loaded with new Turkish stories promising to surprise us. In this video, we're checking out 12 new romantic Turkish dramas of 2026 that are already generating buzz, with intense romances, secrets, powerful families, impossible loves, and leads who are almost certainly going to win over audiences. Number 12. Love and Tears. There are loves that come with their own tears built in, not as an accident, as an inherent condition of what they are from the very start. Aşk ve Gözyaşı takes that truth and turns it into the engine of a story where the leads know early on that what they feel isn't going to be easy to sustain in the world around them, and that they choose it anyway, with full knowledge of what that love is going to cost them. The heroine has the clarity of someone who learned that real love never arrives without wait, and the determination of someone who decided that wait is worth exactly what it promises to deliver. Her backstory is that of someone who came to know love in ways the conventional world wouldn't fully approve of. The conflict the series builds has the honesty of a show that never softens the edges of what love produces when it exists in circumstances. The system around the leads was never designed to hold. The romance has moments of a specific tenderness Turkish drama produces at its best, and moments of an intensity that same Turkish drama handles with a naturalness no other TV genre has fully managed to replicate. Available on Turkish digital platforms. Can someone who chose to love, knowing exactly what it would cost, find in that cost exactly the proof that the choice was worth it? Number 11. The Last Frame. A photograph holds the exact instant something existed completely, before time changed it in ways no lens can capture afterward. Son Kare takes that image and turns it into the central metaphor of a story about what gets lost, and about how people carry that loss in such different ways that the same event can produce completely different lives, depending on who lived through it. The protagonist is someone frozen at a specific instant, the same way a photograph freezes time. With the inability to move forward that comes from living through something too intense to process the way the ordinary world processes ordinary things, the series has the specific melancholy of Turkish drama that knows the most powerful loss isn't the one declared out loud, it's the one that lives in the silences, in the decisions characters make, or don't make, because something that happened before the series began shaped them in ways they're still processing. The romance that emerges within that story has the fragility and intensity of something born between two people who understand the weight the other carries, because they carry something similar themselves. Available on digital platforms. Can someone frozen inside a photograph from the past learn to live fully in the present when the present demands exactly that? Number 10. Eternal Night. A single night that stretches out in ways neither of the two people who lived it could have anticipated when it began. Asırlık Geçe takes the concept of a night that lasts longer than it should and turns it into the most honest possible metaphor for a story where what happened in that limited time has consequences reaching far beyond it. The leads meet during that night with all the specificity of two people's fate, placed in the same space. At the exact moment, neither had the defenses fully operational that the ordinary world allows them to keep up. The romance that emerges has the intensity of something that knows the time it has is strictly limited, and that limitation produces an urgency love under ordinary circumstances can rarely generate with the same honesty. The series has the specific romanticism of Turkish drama that operates from temporariness as its narrative engine, with the awareness that the fleeting has its own way of being more real than the permanent, precisely because it knows it isn't going to last. With characters who have enough history before that night for what happens during it to carry the weight it deserves. Available on Turkish streaming platforms. Can something that happened in a single night produce something that lasts an entire lifetime? Number 9. Thank You. Next. Season 3. Modern love has its own apps, its own ways of meeting someone and unmeeting them at a speed previous generations never had to deal with the same way. Kimler Geldi. Kimler Geçti returns for its third season with the specific energy of a show that found its voice in earlier seasons and can now go deeper into what it already established without having to prove it deserves to exist. The heroine navigates the modern dating world with the humor of someone who knows it from the inside and has just enough clarity to see the absurdity of every situation without ever fully stepping out of it. Season 3 adds layers to the characters the first 2 seasons built, with the patience of a show that trusts the viewer is willing to follow them into more complex territory than the initial light comedy suggested. What this season does differently is add extra honesty about whether the love modern tools produce is genuinely different from love as it's always been, or exactly the same thing with a new interface. Available on digital streaming platforms. Can someone searching for love in the digital age find it when the next candidate is always just one swipe away? Number 8. To love, to lose. Love and loss as the 2 most honest states any human being can inhabit. And the question to love to lose asks right from its title. One, the series spends every episode answering without that answer ever being fully comfortable for anyone. The leads have loved, they have lost. And they find each other at the point where those 2 experiences completely define who they are before they can make any decision about who they want to be. The series has the honesty of contemporary Turkish drama that never shields its characters from the consequences of their own histories, that lets them arrive in the present carrying exactly what life gave them to carry, with the specificity of real people who have concrete reasons for every decision they make. The romance built within that story has the fragility of something trying to exist between people who already know exactly what they stand to lose. And that gives it an intensity romance between people who don't yet know the cost of loving can produce the same way. Available on Turkish digital platforms. Can someone who has already lost find, in a new love, the courage to risk losing again? Number 7. Sins and Roses. Roses and sins share something essential the world would rather not examine too closely. That their beauty and their price are inseparable, that you can't have one without the other, that the very thing that makes them extraordinary is exactly what makes them cost what they cost. Güller ve Günalar takes that duality and turns it into the engine of a story where the characters carry exactly that specific combination inside them, with something beautiful they're guarding, and with something the world would call sin, which they carried in order to have it, or to keep it, or simply to survive whatever happened to them before the story ever found them. The series embraces melodrama, with the awareness of a show that knows the genre has its own tools for talking about things. More restrained drama can't talk about the same way. The intensity it produces when it's working. The passion realistic drama can't hold on to in the same way. The consequences that escalate beyond anything logic would approve of, but that the character's emotion makes completely understandable. The romance it builds runs at that specific temperature of Turkish drama unafraid of its own emotions. Available on streaming platforms. Can someone have what they want most without the price they paid for it, destroying the very thing they worked so hard to get? Number 6. The Heir. A title. A responsibility nobody chose but that arrived before there was anything left to choose at all. And the question Veliaht asks from the start, with total honesty, can someone be what they inherited without completely losing who they chose to be before the inheritance came to claim them? The protagonist has held the title since birth, with everything that title demands of him before he ever got the chance to discover who he is underneath everything the position requires him to show the world. With the expectations of an institution, with the sacrifices that institution demands of its members, before those members ever get a say in whether they're willing to make them. The conflict arrives when someone completely outside that world shows up. Someone who doesn't know, and doesn't care about protocol, who sees him without the filter of the title, and who produces in him exactly what the title always kept from happening. The twist that complicates everything is exactly that visibility, being seen as a person before being seen as an heir, and discovering that what he feels when that happens is something no official training ever fully equipped him to handle. Number 5. In between. Between two worlds, not fully belonging to either one. Arafta is the series that uses limbo as the most honest metaphor for a state its characters know from the inside, with all the specificity of people who live it every day. People in the space between who they were and who they could be, between the version of themselves the world knows and the one they know exists underneath that version, but that circumstances haven't fully allowed. The drama operates in that tension with the honesty of a show that doesn't rush the resolution, that lets the limbo be real and present for as long as it needs to be real before the story decides what to do with it. The characters have the specificity of real people trapped in situations their emotional lives make impossible to resolve with the clarity outside analysis would demand. The series is dark in the right sense of the word. Not artificially, organically, like the very limbo it describes with such precision. The romance within that story has the urgency of something born in the space between two worlds, not fully sure which one it belongs to. Available on digital platforms. Can someone existing between two worlds find a way to choose one without losing everything the other held for them? Number 4. Love and the Throne. Love and power rarely coexist without one ending up completely affecting the other, without the rules of power interfering with the rules of love, or without love complicating exactly what power needed to stay simple. Ashk Vetach takes that tension and turns it into the engine of a story where the leads constantly have to decide which of the two takes priority. In every moment the two contradict each other, and those moments are frequent. Because in the world the series builds, power has its own rules about who can love whom, and under what conditions that love is acceptable to the system surrounding it. The protagonist holds the power, but also has his own complications, which the series reveals with the patience of a show that knows gradual revelation builds the weight immediate revelation would destroy. His situation is that of a man who has everything externally in order and internally has exactly the opposite of that apparent order. The conflict arrives when what power demands and what love asks for point in directions that can't be reconciled without something giving way. The romance has the intensity of something that knows the time available, is strictly limited by the structures surrounding them, available on streaming platforms. Can someone who has the power to decide others' fate find the courage to also decide his own? Number 3. Probable love. Love as possibility, not as certainty. Not as the inevitable destiny conventional romantic drama promises from episode 1 with a confidence reality rarely fully justifies, but as something that could exist, that has the conditions to exist, and that still requires someone to make the conscious decision to believe in that possibility before circumstances make it impossible to sustain any longer. Muhtemel Aşk is the Turkish series that takes that uncertainty as its central territory of exploration and builds it with the honesty of a show that knows real love, rarely arrives with the clarity conventional love stories promise there. Audience. The leads have every reason for what they feel to be exactly possible, but guaranteed in no sense whatsoever. And that gap between possible and guaranteed is exactly the space where the series lives at its best narrative expression, with characters carrying their own genuine doubts, their own versions of why this might not work despite everything, and who choose to move toward what could be anyway, because the possibility itself is reason enough to try, when the alternative is never trying at all. Available on digital platforms. Can someone bet on a love that's only probable when certainty would have been so much more comfortable for both of them? Number 2. Scenes and Roses, second version. This story deserves a spot on the list twice, because two different versions of the same material produced something that only happens when a concept has enough richness to be explored from completely different angles without running dry. Sins and Roses takes exactly what Gulave Gunalar promised and carries it into a different production territory, with a narrative approach that lets the same material be examined from a perspective the earlier version didn't fully. Exhaust. Roses and Sins remain the heart of it, but the way this version examines them has the specificity of something that learned from what came before and has the honesty to add rather than simply repeat. The characters have the complexity of drama that doesn't simplify its own contradictions to make the viewer's journey more comfortable, with moments of real tenderness and moments of real darkness coexisting the same way the roses and sins of the title coexist in real people's lives. The romance runs at the specific temperature of something that doesn't ask permission to be exactly what it is. Available on international streaming platforms. Can beauty justify the price it always demands when someone decides to have it at any cost? Number 1. You Are the One I Love. There are people, time confirms. People every honest retelling of your life story places exactly where they always were, at the center. With the specific clarity only time can produce, when distance lets you see what proximity made impossible to see fully. Sevdiğim Sensin is the Turkish drama that takes that certainty as its destination and builds toward it with the patience of a story that knows the most satisfying ending. Only works fully if the road leading there was honest enough. There are moments when the series could resolve what it's built prematurely, and it chooses not to. It chooses to keep building, adding layers to why they feel what they feel, and to why they're kept apart, until the accumulation carries enough weight for the resolution to land with all the force that build-up produces in a viewer who's followed it from the start. The lead's performances have that chemistry Turkish drama finds when it pairs the right couple with the right material, where every scene together carries the weight of everything built before that moment. The number 1 on this list because it does the hardest thing in Turkish romantic drama, building love as the honest process of two people recognizing each other before they can admit it. Available on streaming platforms. Can someone know all along who the right person is and still need exactly the time it took to fully find her? And that wraps up these 12 new romantic Turkish dramas of 2026. Now I want to know which of them caught your attention the most and which one you're most looking forward to. Leave your favorite in the comments. And if you enjoyed this look at the new Turkish premieres, don't forget to like and subscribe to Max Plus to discover more series, dramas, and recommendations. See you in the next video. Take care and until next time.
The pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic.